Good evening, Fernwood. It's your TV pal Neil, and it's time for some more late night variety madness with another episode of Fernwood Tonight. If you are viewing my face for the first time, that's because you haven't watched this reaction show that we're doing. We watch the show together and then we talk about it because I have a lot of stuff inside me and I don't know about you, but I guess we'll find out. If that sounds like it's your bag, then please stick around. And if you are a viewer who maybe has the means to help support this channel, then please check out our Patreon, where you get monthly updates, access to the episodes a week early, and more things. Like 4 weeks from now, you'll be finding out about that maybe a bit today. So today we are watching episode 45 from September 2nd, 1977. This is the end of the 9th week of the series. We've got 4 more weeks after this. It's been a ride. Let's see what happened yesterday. Barth Gimble started with the sad task of letting everyone know in the home audience that Ms. Jane Tiffany would no longer be with us because she got bonked on the bean with a baseball. She is in the hospital with a badly broken nose, and Jerry put the flag at half-mast for her. Barth then has Jerry sign the baseball that beaned her before Jerry introduces a surprise guest, and that is Barth's aunt, Edith Irma Simpkins, a lady from down south, who causes Barth to say, "Holy!" Edith is clearly a wealthy woman who is begging Barth to come back. Then we bring out defected Russian dancer Sergei Nabokov. Jerry is clearly uncomfortable being around someone from the Soviet Union, but it seems like the USSR was only happy to let Sergei defect. We meet a young couple who named their baby after Barth Gimble after she was born during the first airing of Fernwood Tonight. And Barth may have breathed a sigh of relief when Miss Edith seemed to take an interest in Sergei. And that is where our episode ended, everyone. Let's end this week right.
Fernwood Tonight, 30 minutes of very remarkable entertainment, coming to you almost live, with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Gimble. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Virgil Sims, with some tips for lonely truckers, Elliot J. Tubbs, with some congressional booze news, and Happy Kine and the Mirth Makers. And me, I am Jerry Hubbard. And now, here's your host and mine, Mr. Barth Gimble!
Oh, excuse me for clapping there. I feel so at home here, and we have these monitors. I feel like I'm at home watching TV, and I see someone like myself come on. I want to applaud. I'm sorry. It might be something for you folks at home to try. Good evening, I should say that, and welcome to Fernwood Tonight. My name is Barth Gimble, and we're back with another 30 minutes of pure, unadulterated, simple television for a change, and I can almost hear you saying, "Thank God." I wish I could really hear you saying thank God, but heaven knows they don't even let you pray out loud in the schools anymore these days. Churches are doing less business every year, and many television stations, you hear them, they're going off the air with just the Air Force version of the Star-Spangled Banner and canceling sermonette altogether. Well, holy mother of God, what's happened to real religion? Not to mention freedom of speech. It seems these days you only hear his name mentioned in vain, for Christ's sake. Now, I just said a phrase, for Christ's sake. I am not trying to be sacrilegious. I meant that literally in a very positive way. And that's whose sake I'm talking about. His sake. Not Pete's sake, not pity's sake, or even God's sake, for Christ's sake. You see what I'm driving at? I'm mad. Let us pray. Ladies and gentlemen, here's a little prayer that I give each night just before showtime in the privacy of my, if you can call it that, dressing room, face to face with my God and my mirror. Lord, grant me the courage to ask the tough questions, the patience to listen to the dumb answers and the wisdom to know the difference between the two. Very sincerely yours, Barth Kimball. Amen. Come on. Don't be afraid to applaud. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. You know, that's one of the things that's wrong in this country. People don't applaud prayers. I think it's healthy. Why not? It might even help the churches. I don't know. Come on. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, incidentally, here's a man who really doesn't have a prayer, to use another expression. My announcer, Mr. Jerry Hubbard. Jerry, how are you?
Very, very good, and a bit humbled by that prayer.
I had to do it. I just felt it. I had to come out.
Mm-hmm. Well, you know, prayer is a funny thing, and I've always wondered about this. When you pray, you're supposed to close your eyes and hold your hands kind of folded, or like that, in kind of what you might call a prayer-like position. But what do you do if you're something like driving a car, and it's late at night, picture this, and you're running out of gas, and you want to pray that the next gas station is going to be there and it's going to be open. This is a true story. This really happened to me. If you close your eyes, you're liable to go off the highway. Then if you hold your hands like that, you can hardly steer the car. So what do you do? Now, it just so happens, you know, is that an official prayer is what I mean?
Sure.
Well, because when I got to the next station, and truth is stranger than fiction, the station was open, the price was right, and I filled up my tank. Now, does that mean my prayer was received and answered, or did it just happen to be that gas station's regular business hours? That's part of the mystery of prayer to me.
Jerry, I'm fairly well convinced that your zip code is a mystery to you. Oh, boy.
Besieged by numbers these days. What isn't a mystery? Everything's
What
a
is
number.
your zip code? Quick.
Gee, I don't know. Now, I don't know. I get it confused with my phone number, the Social Security.
Yeah, I think your zip code is probably EIEIO. Hey, if we can't get each other, who can we get? We'll be right back after these words. Don't go away. It works. My next guest has been conducting night courses at the community college here in Fernwood. That's a good college, incidentally. Have you been over there?
The night college?
The community college.
Oh, the community college.
Did you go at night?
I went over there to play basketball. I've never gone inside to study, though.
Well, I think you can major in that, though.
In basketball?
I think so. I've seen a lot of people with no books, just a ball, walking in and out, so...
Yeah, they're right over the fence. They locked the athletic field, ironically enough. They put a padlock on it, and they just spend 15 minutes getting over the fence.
Is it that anchor fence with the raw top on top?
Yeah, and they have the little... Put barbed wire on top, too.
Where it's frayed, so
yes.
you can really take it right off your leg. It's no picnic. It's a terrible school. He is at the community college, and he's got a course in do-it-yourself automobile maintenance. Would you please welcome Fernwood's Class A, that'd be this, mechanic, Mr. Virgil Sims. Pretty good here. Look like the Easter bunnies have come. It's great. Virgil, I understand you're adding a kind of a new course at the community college.
That's right, Barth. I'm teaching a course to truck drivers on how to cope with problems on the road.
Mm-hmm. Well, what kind of problems really would truck drivers have on the road besides dead skunks and country music on the radio?
Country music is no laughing matter to a truck driver, Barth.
Sorry?
Always inspired by a meaningful love song. My personal favorite was always, if I'd have known that you'd wanted to have went with me, I'd have seen that you'd have got to get to go.
Well, first of all, I can't believe I really don't think I know that one. Can you sing any of it?
I'd love to, Barth.
Well, can we do that?
I don't know where you are at times. I don't know where you go. If I'd have known that you'd have wanted to have went with me, I'd have seen that you'd have got to get to go.
That's really something. Hey, maybe she teach music over there. That's really beautiful. Now back to some other problems. What else is happening with the truck drivers as far as problems go?
Well, one of your big problems, Barth, is finding good food to eat.
Okay.
Now, you never want to stop where you see a lot of trucks parked around.
What?
That's an old story. It's an old myth. That's been the death of many a good truck driver.
Well, we've all heard that, always pull into a place where there's trucks out front. That's amazing. You got to be kidding.
No, what you do is you carry your own grocks. That's what we call groceries.
Okay.
You carry your own grocks and you cook them right there on your truck motor.
Come on. I mean, how do you do that? Does the motor get hot enough to, let's say, cook a steak or something like that? What about pots and pans?
Well, to get that motor hot enough, you drain about half the water out of your radiator, and them old engines heat right up. And then I teach them how to make their own cooking utensils, Barth, out of aluminum foil. Why, in just a few minutes' time, a man can cook him up a big meal of beans and franks that you wouldn't believe. And what the heck, you're in the truck all by yourself. So,
Well, we've erased the country music problem, and I think we just erased the dead skunk problem there, too. Won't notice either one of those. What are the other problems?
Well, truck drivers generally, Barth, have trouble dealing with people. They're bashful and they're shy.
Really?
Yeah, they just have trouble talking to people. I've noticed that in my class, and they're all good boys.
Oh, I'm sure they are. Good old boys, as they say.
Yeah. But I teach them how to deal with people because they'll go for days sometimes without saying anything but fill her up or check them tires.
That's true.
Well, they don't even use their own names on CB radio.
Is that right?
That's right. They use names like Lafayette Flash and Nashville Cat and Pavement Pumper. They get tongue-tied if they had to use a real name.
Well, I never thought of that. That is amazing. I guess truck drivers are really a very lonely breed, and they, like anybody else, they have to talk to somebody sometimes.
That's right. If they don't cook their own food, they have to talk to that truck stop waitress. And I figure that's a good way to practice talking to women.
Well, I guess that way, if you get lucky, you're overcoming shyness and loneliness at the same time.
That's right. Back when I was driving a truck, Barth, I was known as a real charmer. So I just teach the guys to say what I always said to them.
What would be some nice remark or something?
Well, as soon as she comes over and throws your water down on the table, you say something nice to her like, honey, why do you want to hide them pretty blue eyes underneath that hairnet? Or, you don't want to mess around with any married women.
No, it's bad.
No. So there's a casual way of finding out there, too. You say, honey, are you married, or is that just your boyfriend's name or tattooed on your arm?
One thing, they can always take off a wedding ring, but they can't cover up a tattoo. That's kind of...
And then if you find out she's not married, then you pay her a compliment real quick. Say something like, you don't sweat much for a big old fat girl.
Well, that would certainly explain why truck drivers are always on the move. I guess if they ever stayed in one place, they'd probably get shot. Oh, boy, this is so close to interesting talking to you. I think really the best thing we had going was when you sang that song. Could you possibly ever sing that for us again? How about right now? Could you do that?
Sure. You want to sing it with me?
Well, I'm thinking maybe I could use it sometime if I ever trying to get lucky in a diner. Can you just sing it once more?
Just join in, folks, if you want to. I don't know where you are at times. I don't know where you go. I know that you'd have wanted to have went with me. I'd have stayed, but you'd have got to get to go. Don't be afraid to join in. I don't know where you are at times. I don't know where you go.
We'll be right back after these important words. Don't go away. We'll be right back after these words. Right there. We're right back. Thanks, Abby. Our next guest is a former insurance salesman whose talent for public relations attracted the attention of some people in Washington, and he is now vice chairman of the National Liquor Lobby. Would you please welcome Mr. Elliot J. Tubbs? Be quite a trip to Washington every day. That was quite a trip coming in.
Yes, well,
You all right?
I was admiring the song there. Now, we need men like you in Washington to sing the glories of Mother Alcohol. Yes, indeed, I'd say.
Elliot, tell us, why would the liquor industry need a lobby? You must certainly have a staggering number of supporters on Capitol Hill.
Oh, well, yes, we do, Bart. But we're always looking for new legislation to help the liquor industry. Things like reducing the drinking age to 16, getting liquor licenses for fast food restaurants, that sort of thing.
Wait a minute. Now that would be really something, serving liquor at, let's say, Happy's Bun and Run restaurant. You have that hamburger chain. Ought to help business, actually, Hap. You could change your motto to Bun and Rum or something.
To pass this legislation, we have to stress the importance of liquor to the congressman. And we've been getting a lot of stiff competition from the marijuana lobby lately.
You're kidding.
Oh, yes, but we're prepared to face that eyeball to eyeball.
That should be kind of interesting, actually. Your eyeballs are red and theirs can't focus.
Nevertheless, we're still out in front of the Capitol building marching. Alcohol has been getting a bad reputation, Bart, and I'm here to tell you that there's more to liquor than drunk driving.
Oh, sure. There's heart disease, there's liver damage.
Well, we've got a publicity campaign going now, and we've come up with a lot of dandy new slogans, like whiskey was once used for medicine, and alcohol is okay if not abused, and liquor is a good thing to drink.
So how does your lobby go about giving Congress the boozer's side of the story?
Well, what we do is we hold a caucus, and we invite all the congressmen to Bermuda or Hawaii, whatever it is, all expenses paid, of course. And then we point out how the consumption of alcohol is woven into the tapestry of this nation's glorious past.
I'll drink to that.
And then we talk about Paul Revere in The Midnight Ride, and the historical fact that Paul had quite a few at the farewell party before he took off.
You had a snootful, huh? So more than just the lanterns were lit that night.
After we've established our historical little fact, then we all toast to Paul's patriotism.
Or his alcoholism.
And then after we have a drink to Paul, we drink to his horse.
Sure.
You also drink to his saddle?
Oh, of course.
Stirrups?
Yes, sometimes.
Jerry.
Harness?
Jerry.
Yes. And by that time, we sufficiently loosened the Congress by presenting a very strong case.
Or maybe a couple of cases, actually, is the case, maybe. Oh, I said it 3 times, every 3 cases.
They could take the case to a higher court.
Tell me, Elliot, at this point, are the congressmen really in any condition to ask any questions about whether alcohol is bad for your health?
Oh, absolutely. In spite of what people have you believe, these congressmen are no dopes. That's why we have to stress the usefulness of alcohol. As a sleep inducer, for example. How many of us have drifted off into a nice, gentle sleep after drinking?
Sure, just right after your head hits the pavement. Don't the congressmen realize that the hardcore drinking element is pretty serious in this country?
Oh, yes, that's where the girls come in. Oh, yes, they bring all sorts of diagrams and charts. Each girl is an expert in her field. And she explains our program to the particular congressman that she's selected for the evening. And in spite of the lateness of the hour, the girl and the congressman generally manage to reach some sort of an agreement.
I've been listening to this, and it just shows that there should be a tip of the hat to our wonderful representatives, because here they are, correct me if I'm wrong, hundreds of miles away from their home and their loved ones, off in some godforsaken place like Hawaii or Bermuda, sitting up till all hours of the night, listening to some girl discussing this gentleman's statistics and information from this industry, and yet they are strong enough to prepare some sort of laws and rules, and I think it shows what our congressmen are made of, and I'll drink to that.
I'd also like to point out what the liquor industry has in mind for the hyperactive children of America.
Oh, sorry, Elliot. I don't think we have time for our hyperactive children right now. We're a little bit out of time, and if we go into the hyperactive children, I might get out of patience as well.
If you put a worm in alcohol, it dies.
Yes, well, they've done that in Mexico, I understand.
In the tequila.
Yes, tequila, right.
Right in the bottom.
Yes,
it's tequila a worm, you put it in the bottle. That's where they got the name.
Well, they say George Washington may be the father of our country, but Coca-Cola is the pop.
Never never touch my suit again.
I'm sorry.
Okay. We'll be right back after these words. Stay with us. Thought I'd join in there. I had Virgil out here and made me thinking about country music. I used to have this old thing a long time ago and used to sing a little bit of that stuff and thought I might do a number for you myself. This went over so well. Gee, I bought this thing in tune. I don't know what's wrong. Yeah, I did a song once about the truck drivers when I was down in Miami. They had a big citrus growers convention down there, and they were kind of, curious, how can we tie in citrus, the fruit and everything with the truck drivers, and well, it occurred to me that a lot of these drivers, as you said, have funny eating habits, and some of them are just, that's all they eat is fruit, and I wrote a little song about it. So with the help of Happy Kind, the Mirth Makers, I'd like to do this for you right now. It's in A, incidentally, in case any of you people at home want to take out your harmonica and make a fool out of yourself. Okay? I've seen that happen. You ready, Hat? 1, 2, 3. Well, I started. Isn't that bad? I ain't your average trucker. They go their way, I go my way. I'm the kind of guy that picks up bitty fruit out on the highway. I see an apple in a tree or little berries growing free, and I say, yes, sirree, there's a perfect snack for me. Just chew 'em up, get in the cab, take off and toot. One eye out for highway danger, the other out for fruit. Now other truckers, they stop at diners, wolfing down them pork and beans. But not me, I stop at roadside stands and score some tangerines. I eat every kind of fruit except the prune, 'cause it's a heavy load I'm carrying, and I won't be stopping soon. Get in the cab, take off and toot. Good. One eye out for highway danger, the other out for fruit. Bridge. I got one hand on the throttle, in the other my banana. Peeling down the highway, heading home to see my Anna. She's the apple of my eye, and I know she's waiting there. With her lips like little cherries, she's a peach, and what a pair. What if my cab is full of garbage, and there's fruit stains on my shirt? It sure beats the pants off taking them little white pills to stay alert. Being drink and drive, you lose, so I'll stick with figs and cherries. Hard driving boys and booze ain't near as good as boys and berries. Just chew 'em up, get in the cab, take off and toot. One eye out for highway danger, the other out for fruit. Just chew 'em up, get in the cab, take off. Good night, everybody. Sorry.
Also appearing on tonight's show were Jim Barney as Virgil Sims and E.J. Schuster as Elliot J. Tubbs.
Today's episode was really puntastic. There were many, many puns, especially in the second and third segments. Before I get to talking about the episode, I'm finishing this Abita King Cake Soda. This is my last bottle. I bought it on a trip to do some gigs up in Wisconsin, and just thought I'd share that with you because no one else will know that I'm drinking this thing unless I tell people about it, because it's goofy. There were no babies inside of the King Cake Soda. If you don't know the King Cake tradition, that is a New Orleans thing. Apparently, they put a baby a baby doll, tiny baby doll, inside of the king cake. And if you get it, then you are the king. I'm not really sure how legal that is America-wise, but oh well. No babies in my soda. And I did mention that we are at the end of week 9. We've got the 4 weeks left of this series, and after that, this channel will be changing gears. I mentioned it in the Patreon, so if you've already subscribed there, you might have heard about it. But if you haven't, know that we're going to be doing reactions. We're going to cut down to a couple days a week at first, because, you know, this is a part-time job that is mostly unpaid for me. So I need to, you know, raise my income, or else things get hard, and things might still get hard. So that's what's going on. I haven't announced what show I will be watching on one of those days, although it is military themed. The other one is animated, and I'm not telling you just what that is yet, but it is something that I enjoyed from the 1970s. I will let you guess about that, and maybe if you're on the Patreon, you'll get an early announcement about it. But let's get back to this episode, where Barth starts with religion as a topic, and that we can't pray in schools, which isn't exactly true. People are allowed to pray privately within a school. It's a question of whether prayer can be led as a group activity is a different thing, which, you know, as a person who's been an atheist for as long as I can remember, like, even when I was in a Catholic school, I remember thinking none of this made sense to me. Being led in public prayer is definitely a thing that doesn't make sense to me. I really think that it's a pretty awful activity to expect people to live the rituals of anyone else's religion in a public arena. This really is more about tapping into sort of the early 70s, or the 1970s era sort of religiosity that was happening. There was a sort of renewal of the born-again Christian situation happening in America at that time. And I think this is tuning into that a little bit, but it's really more about puns. I guess this episode was certainly puntastic. Then we bring out Virgil Sims. He's been with us a few times before, and everything has been auto-related. I want to say that he's been 2 or 3 times. We know that he first came in when he was trying to jump the mobile homes, and then he had his class for how to get the best out of your auto warranties. There may have been something else that I'm forgetting, but now he's teaching a class for truckers and how to survive on the road, and it's less pun stuff and more like just creating this weird image of cooking your meal on your car engine and what you need to do to make that happen, like draining it of coolant or draining it of water. Probably a bad idea for the car, but that's what it is. That reminded me that in the years since this show was on the air, I've seen at least one small family who were living a life as truckers. I don't remember when I saw that, but I do remember that there was a husband and a wife and I think a daughter that were living as truckers on the road. I remember seeing a video about that. I'll see what I can find and put it up here, because you know how much I love to share the cards. There's some fun bits in this segment about truckers being lonely and shy, and maybe it's not so funny to think about loneliness, but being a trucker, unless you have your family with you, can be a really isolating job. And myself, as a person who tended towards being alone even before COVID forced us all to be a bit more alone. And that's something that I've been reading about lately. I read a book called Seek You, A Journey Through American Loneliness for my book club last month. It really resonated with me at how, I don't know if it's different in different nations, I don't know if it's different in different countries, but in America, it's really easy to be alone. And that doesn't even mean being alone like I am, like a hermit, you know. I'm not exactly a hermit, but I don't have people in my home since COVID especially, and I don't have roommates at the moment, and that's something I don't have a relationship that I am in to come home to. That's not even exclusively a prevention for that, because in the book it's made clear that even people who are in relationships feel lonely. So thinking about what it was like to be on the road as a loner and not having the skills of being around people, like learning how to talk to women, as Virgil says, by talking to the diner waitresses, is sort of a weird picture for me now that I'm looking at it through the lens of loneliness. Of course, there's also Virgil's song about if I'd have done, I don't remember the lyric. It was very difficult for me to get through it, but I think that's the point of it, that this lyric is completely extra countrified. And I remember in the 1970s, at least from my vantage point in Los Angeles, that there were two kinds of music that were not okay to listen to. I think in the 1970s, because most people hadn't known about rap in the 1970s, country music was the genre that you wouldn't listen to. It was very unhip in those major cities. And rap, I think, came later, but also sort of has that veiled racism about it. Like with country, it's not necessarily racism that you don't listen to it, but it's certainly classism. With rap, there's a lot of racist sentiment against it. So I feel like, I don't know, I brought up rap just because it was one of those things that, hey, I listen to everything but this and this. It's like, music is music. Listen to it, appreciate it. There's some great country. I myself do not love modern country as much as I love older stuff. I love bluegrass. I love the Johnny Cash era. You know, all of that. I love the folk tradition that sort of parallels country music. It's not exactly country music, but there's ties to it. I don't love necessarily the politics of modern country musicians. Some of them are right on, some of them not so much. Some of them not so much to the point that you can barely tell if they're parody or not. This song by Virgil Sims was a funky little lick, and not even really a full song. It was just pretty much one line of the song. And then we bring back Elliot J. Tubbs, who is now a representative of a liquor lobby. I don't remember what he did in the previous appearance, but hey, now he's a lobbyist for the liquor companies. And weird to think that liquor needs a lobby, but also not weird because so many of these big businesses do have lobbies. In this case, it's mainly just a run of liquor-related references, and, you know, Jerry saying that he'll drink to that. It's a bit goofy, and that's where we are. And then Barth ends with a song which is reminding us of the trucker bit, and this specific trucker is really into fruit. And I don't mean that in an expression, the way of the expression, like being into fruit. I mean specifically, literally into eating fruit and various fruit-related puns. As I mentioned, there were a lot of puns in this episode. That's most of what I could gather from it. And, you know, fun to see Barth doing another song. Clearly, Martin Mull was a talented musician that, you know, got to vent that musical art just a little bit throughout the series. So now that we've addressed some of the things that we've seen in this episode, it's time for us to get back to the topic of the week, and that is modern day politically incorrect shows. And today I am bringing on, I think for me personally, is the granddaddy of politically incorrect shows of the modern era, and that is Moral Orel. Moral Orel is about a young boy named Orel Puppington who comes from Morrilton State Soda, and he is very concerned with literally following the word of Christ. He's very into Jesus, and he's definitely going to take things the wrong way a lot of the time. It starts off pretty silly as a show. Sometimes he is just doing things that are completely wrong. Without spoiling too much, he definitely takes the word the wrong way a lot of the time. And then the show, as the seasons progress, and these are 15-minute episodes, you could probably watch the whole series in an afternoon, gets darker and darker and darker as we start to see the supporting cast get their own lives and start to see in the ways that the relationships in this show are quite toxic. the way that the history of these characters is quite painful. It's rough, but also really telling. And I think it gets to some true things that could use some discussion. So if you are looking for a show that will really make you laugh, make you gag, make you think about things, and make you hurt, that's a show you might want to check out. And once again, the name of the show is Moral Oral. Everyone, that is the topic of the week this week. Thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions in the comments. Thank you to my top tier Patreon supporters. You're going to get the next update pretty soon, I think. I don't know exactly when I'm updating in relation to the airing of this show, but you're going to get that update. Thank you, everyone, again. We will see you next week in Fernwood.